Welcome to the FLF Podcast by J3VC. I'm joined by my fantastic co-host, Jason. We're here on the sunny coast at a networking event in Queensland. We're here to discuss today the importance of network leadership and to understand why coming to these events is so important and why they can help us and our viewers in their businesses. So we were discussing networking specifically. So can you please explain, Jason, firstly, why we're here, and then also the intentions behind why we've come to this location to speak with other business owners?
Yeah, so we obviously hold, part of our, core beliefs and values, the value of networking and like building a good network, offering value within that network, building relationships and doing that like in your business, with your investments, with your wealth creation journey, doing that, taking the action steps necessary and executing, but also taking the right sequence of events. And oftentimes being part of a network and being an open system as a leader, as an investor, as a business owner, allows you to do that because you're exposed to new ideas, new concepts, as you're trying to solve problems and work through issues. We've been here obviously like yesterday and today and spending time with other business owners and leaders. And it's allowed us to do that, receive that, and it's allowed us to give that as well. And I think that's been super important, super valuable. Even just walking around, we've been able to discuss, different real estate projects and investments, just seeing, what's going on here in the city. And then we've been able to exchange those ideas with other business leaders and owners here. And so that allows us to keep growing, keep pushing ideas. And obviously we have work to do and emails and texts to attend to, but it just opens us up and expands us to be able to solve these problems like better and faster, I think.
Yeah, something that resonated with me was the idea that you brought specifically about the closed loop system. And from memory, your idea was that the closed loop system is either the beginning of the end or it is the death of a leader. Yeah. So just to repeat that, so a leader in a closed loop system, that is the beginning of the end for that particular leader. Could you flesh that out for me? Because I've never heard that previously, and it made sense to me when you explained it to me.
Yeah, I think what happens over time is, as if you're a leader, you're a business owner, or you're moving and growing, what happens is you can become like more isolated over time. Let's say you're running a business or you're a leader and you start to have certain, issues or certain experiences that only you are familiar with. Maybe the people on your team, because they're employees or subordinates or whatever, they're not quite familiar with those issues. And then, everybody gets busy. And so after a time, it can become really natural and really easy to become closed looped, like a closed system. So no inputs, no feedback in, and that becomes like a rapid descent, and so maintaining and being open as a system, is a great way to think about leadership for yourself. And as we're growing and on a journey to building wealth, like building your business, that can be extremely important. Then obviously the question is, well, not just who are you open to, but like, how do you maintain that and get like high quality information? And that's where, we would say that network plays a really strong part, the network of relationships you're in, and then how you, utilize and behave like within that network.
Yeah, I think something I say is that the inputs into a development is team and competence, and the output's the cash. So you can think about the cash and have the idea that when you finish an investment, when you finish development, you're going to get that output of cash. But I think what a lot of people forget, don't think about, is the output of cash is directly related and directly correlated to what the inputs were. And that's based on competence and just the person's ability to know what their job is and to be able to execute your plan, what you're doing with that development with excellence.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And like, the more inputs and the high quality of information that you have, the more you're able to de-risk your project, your investment, and the better position you are to like succeed and achieve like the outcomes. And I think that's like really such a critical part, like exposing yourself to more information, like excellent feedback, a really good team. One model that I really love, I've heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about with any business, what's really foundational and critical is the team, the mission, and the leadership. Once you've got that as your kind of tripod foundation, then you can really go somewhere.
Yeah. I think, before we continue, if you're liking the content and you're enjoying what Jason and I have to say, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then you can keep up to date with everything we say and come with us on our adventures around the world and around our business journeys. So what you're saying about Robert Kiyosaki and the tripod, I think is incredibly important, and to understand that, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, remaining the ability to receive inputs constantly would allow the leader to be flexible enough to understand the ever-changing outside world, and that way they can remain on the cutting edge of the leadership of the new generations and of the way the world's working. Because the way I can see that going wrong is if someone ever becomes a closed loop system, even though they might be a fantastic leader of the snapshot of what it looks like right now, in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, they might not realize that the world's changed or something's changed in the industry. Maybe rules have changed. And without that external input, that person, I guess, in a bad scenario in the world of property development specifically, they could be walking into something that they think is a home run of a deal, but haven't realized that some certain rules have changed and that deal no longer applies. And that would be catastrophic.
Yeah, I think if you're considering investing and looking at real estate developments, property investment, then what you're really wanting to look for is a team of people who are experts and have closed the knowledge gap and the information gap, in those areas that you're not yet directly exposed to. That's going to make such a big difference to allow you to move at speed, allow you to de-risk your investment, and allow you to stay on track with, your wealth creation goals. Yep. I think that's absolutely critical. So, that's something that needs to be built and put together. And, that would be a network that I would strongly advise anybody to join.
Yeah. Well, I think this comes back to maybe an analogy I can give as well. There's a reason that business owners still have an accountant.
Yeah.
So they have an accountant because they're running their business. Let's say they run a house cleaning business, and they're keeping up to date with the current rules and responsibilities and how to run their particular business. And then once a quarter or once a year, or however they're running their business, they go to the accountant because it's not their job and they shouldn't really have to keep to the most up-to-date rules and regulations in regard to the ATO specifically for us here in Australia. I think it would be irresponsible of anyone to go into an environment and investing and thinking that they're going to want to become a developer or do it for themselves if they're not prepared to keep up to date with those inputs, the availability of input constantly coming in so they can remain flexible and not make any mistakes. And I think that ties all the way back into the reason we're here today is because in this specific location is to network with very competent business leaders and talk to them and possibly find out things that we don't know what we don't know, and also to broaden our horizons.
Yeah, I think the knowing what you don't know is really critical. I know we have a great team of advisors and a great team of partners, but it happens quite a lot that it's very rare that you would have one person that knows everything about everything. Oftentimes, people spend years of study and, specialized knowledge gathering in order to be great and in order to really understand, at a deep level, the critical areas. And having a team that's pieced that together and can share that knowledge and help to put together and, close the knowledge gaps overall is really critical. And to be able to do that on a consistent, long-term basis is just going to be a strong recipe for success.
Yeah, I think the sharing knowledge is incredibly important because ideally, I think everyone would be in their own lane in regards to specializing and becoming excellent at one particular thing. And then when you bring all those people together and they share their ideas, that's when you're going to get a massive edge on the competitors in whatever field you're in.
Yeah.
And I think that ties into the networking, because hopefully you're doing your thing and you're becoming competent and you're being really good at what you're doing. So for example, in our case, we're involved in property. So people might be asking us, it could be anything from someone that wants to purchase an investment property to someone wants to get started in property development. They can speak to us about it. And there's other guys here that are in, say construction or refrigeration, and then or tax. We can ask them their specific questions. And because they're coming to these environments and speaking with us, we're sharing high level knowledge, which is on the cutting edge, because we're on the cutting edge of what we do. They're on the cutting edge of what they do. And we can just keep really up to date with those inputs.
Yeah, there's an excellent phrase that I kind of live by, which is the quality of your life is directly proportionate to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And, your depth of wisdom and knowledge, is definitely shown by the quality of the questions you're asking yourself and the quality of the questions that your team and your advisors are going to give you. And a lot of times the benefits of having, a great team is that they're asking questions for you that you're not even thinking to ask. And we obviously incorporate that from investment strategy to, construction and build quality issues and planning and development approval and, all the way down. There's so many components to doing developments and investing in real estate. But I really live by this, this mantra, like the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. So, I just think it's really critical. And oftentimes, whether it's at the very beginning or like, even if you're, a little bit seasoned, sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. And you don't necessarily know even what the best questions to ask. And, so because we value network so strongly and we believe that has such a important compounding effect, that's such a huge reason as to why we've put together such a high quality team of advisors to help ask the questions that you wouldn't even think of asking.
They're the best ones. I love that when we're in a situation where someone brings up, when an advisor or someone brings something up that we didn't think of, or that was sort of a peripheral that we're not sure if that's going to be a problem. They bring it up and they're competent and they're in the environment and they say, oh no, at the moment, this is a problem. So we need to fix this. And then all they've done is we're able to prepare to lay a bridge over whatever that small issue is going to be. But if we get right up to the edge and then realize it's an issue, then we're on the back foot. Yeah. We're not getting all the procedures we need to do started before they do it. So we're doing 10 processes concurrently, because that's how you do a development. You're never stopped at one particular thing and not able to proceed.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the value of good advice, good wisdom is being able to translate as well. People talk about how if you really know something and if you're really smart, you're able to explain it to a 10-year-old.
Yes.
And I'll use that a lot. I'll hear complex technical information. I'll say, explain it to me like I'm 10. And so that's part of that. I think the way that we like to operate, digest complex information, translate that for the everyman, for every woman, and be able to explain it like we're 10 years old, and make sure that there's deep understanding that accompanies like, the answering of quality questions. And then I think once that happens, like the result is you feel more comfortable, you feel more confident, you feel more comfortable, you feel more powerful because you're growing in your knowledge base. And, obviously for us in what we're doing, it's about in service of the goals that we're setting, from, financially and for wealth creation, for that ultimate goal of, greater freedom. So it ties in, quite nicely. And I think for us, like the cherry on the top is we like everybody we work with. We enjoy the time we spend together. Yeah. So it makes it like a lot easier. We want to, grow that and expand that. So, yeah.
I think that's amazing. It's terribly unfortunate that, no, we have to go to Queensland in this magnificent environment, train with our friends and eat fantastic food and share these great ideas. It's so horrible. So I think unless you've got anything else to say, we can wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think like, in that same vein, it's like, really ask yourself, for people who are watching, I would say, ask yourself if you have the best team around you, if you have the best advisors around you, if you are growing and learning, because of the team around you who are asking the questions on your behalf and feeding into, you achieving the goals that you're setting. I think that would be my encouragement and my my call to action,
Yeah.
and I think that's a helpful, valuable framework to think about. So that would be my final thoughts.
Okay, awesome. I think, not sure exactly when this one's coming out, but depending on our availability, we might be available to work with. I'm not sure if we'll be open when this comes out or not, but reach out to us if you would like to know if we are. But thank you for joining us on the FLF podcast by J3VC. We'll see you guys on the next episode.